science has anything an intrinsic antagonism to magic, but simply because magic, if tolerated, would unleash more information than any scientific theory can cope with. Scientific theories must first limit the amount of information that they're dealing with before they can begin to model things. So, in answer to your question about the mushroom and its role in human history, I've gone through many changes about this since the mushroom began talking to me, since I wrote that foreword. I have a manuscript now, which one of the titles that we toy with for it is Alien Intelligence and Psilocybin, although it probably won't be called that. A lot of what it deals with is the fact that postmodern people, which is you and me, are getting in touch with something which the modern worldview cannot handle at all. For modernity, voices in the head are a clear instance of pathology, and yet for the Hellenistic world and the postmodern world, voices in the head are a clear aspect of following the path. And this was classic before the rise of the forms of reductionist thought that characterize modern thinking. Socrates had a demon. He mentions it many times. It told him what to say. It helped him with what he should think. And it was a commonplace for sages and philosophers of that time to make that kind of claim. Psilocybin places it within the reach of modern people, but it also, by so doing, serves to demonstrate that the old models of psyche, Freudian and Jungian, just won't serve. I don't think that these things can be reconciled very easily. I think science, if it's going to take up the Enochian tables and that sort of thing, is going to transform itself to the point where it will no longer be science. Paul Feyerabend, who lives in Berkeley, I don't know if he still teaches, has written a couple of books, one called Against Method and another one called Science in a Free Society. And he makes the point there that science has really become an enemy of the free society simply by virtue of the fact that it wishes to arbitrate all models, so that somebody says, well, I believe the universe is such and so, and everyone says, well, go ask the scientists if it's true or not. This is a staggering amount of power for any group of people to have, especially a group of people whose accomplishments, and I'm not now talking about the technicians and the engineers, but the scientists, what they have accomplished is only to give us an unrecognizably abstract model of the world. So I would prefer a world of intellectual pluralism, where astrology and astronomy and Kabbalah and information theory and all these things worked in their own area, but no one claimed preeminence, because you see, this claiming of preeminence rests on a false assumption. No idea can be dismissed that is internally consistent. There's nothing more than that. Science is not more than internally self-consistent, and astrology is not less than internally self-consistent. So why should these things be placed on two different levels in terms of being arbiters of the truth? So I think that there will be, by psychology, for instance, fringe human abilities and things like that discovered. But I think higher magic will always operate according to the laws of higher magic, and that this will be a closed book to science simply because of the nature of the premises of both concerns. One of the things I didn't get to say about this time theory that I put down this evening was that it's a very anti-scientific theory. It cannot be integrated. This is not merely a physics of time that can be grafted onto orthodox physics and have science survive, because what I'm saying has certain consequences in the realm of cause and effect and experimental design that make what is normally called a scientific experience out of the question. And another untestable hypothesis that riddles science from end to end is the idea that if A causes B at time F, then A will cause B at time anything else. And that's just obviously nonsense in any realm where we experience things, but it's necessary to believe that. And so what science ends up being able to do, this is interesting, science then becomes a way of explaining anything which happens the same way over and over again regardless of the time that it happens. We could almost describe science as the descriptive, that branch of human knowledge which is concerned with the description of those processes which are not affected by the time in which they occur. And none of those processes are interesting to living, thinking, feeling people, because everything you experience is unique. Every moment, every event, every person, every situation. So what's happening?